Okay, so I think everyone gets the idea, you know, like what I want to do. Everyone knows that I want to basically teach people on a grassroots level how to create their own network, you know what I mean? In that network, I'm going to show them how to monetize or create opportunities or business opportunities or money opportunities or investment opportunities around this like community that they have, you know. So I think everyone gets that, you know, and everyone gets that idea, you know, is going to transform the U.S. economy, and the U.S. economy is going to be an example for the rest of the world to follow, right? Because we're saying the robots and global outsourcing is pretty much changing, you know, the workforce, right? So we know the workforce is ultimately going to be changing. So what yours truly is bringing to the table is a new asset, a new way for, you know, the average everyday person to, you know, participate in the new economy. You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's the idea. So let's move past that and let's go into execution. Like how do we? Wait, before we go to that, we know that the way I'm going to communicate that information is through broadcasting, right? Through movies and shows and documentaries and docudrama series, and all these things are going to basically be information tools for the end user or the watcher, the viewer, to be able to create this in their life. So I'm not saying, you know, let's just go to some classroom and, you know, I'm gonna give you some curriculum and this whole thing. No, I'm saying that just in the same way that I created content that inspired kids to be positive, to be entrepreneurial, to be creative, to brand themselves, to market themselves, to use technology, that world that was created from jerkin and skinny jeans movement, all that stuff, and the shows and the groups and the videos and the news articles and the news specials and all these different things really shaped an entire moment for a generation, you know. And it really launched, you know, using social media in an entrepreneurial way for young kids, you know, and that's really what it brought to the table. So I'm saying, taking that same idea into account, or that same model into account, let's go a step further and say, hey, let's offer 24 hours a day of programming, right? And so everyone knows, you know, I worked in television, whatever, but I got to do this model. You understand? Like, I got to do this model. I got to create this new network. And so let's get to the execution. So the execution of the business model is, you know, is basically, I'm saying, like, how am I going to take this viral video and this great idea and then turn it into an international network that creates a multi-billion-dollar asset for the investors that are involved? How do I do that, right? Because that's pretty impressive if you could do that, right? I mean, like, that's pretty impressive. So my next step is, I've articulated the idea, I put it out there, I have examples, you know, because the thing that's different between me and a lot of other people with great ideas is that I actually have examples. I've actually created these things, you know what I mean? I went out and created global movements. I went out and community organized. I went out and monetized it with the biggest companies in the media business, you know what I'm saying? And the biggest advertisers. I've done that myself. I've done those deals. So when people say, you know, whatever, you know, jerkin, some kid made it or whatever, okay, fine, maybe some kid made the dance. But I turned it into a business model, and I did all the deals, and I pushed it for 4 years, and I could keep pushing it. I could keep pushing skinny jeans. Like, none of these things are still here. I mean, the nene is a new big dance now, right? The nene. But the point is, if I was still into it, I could create nene movements and artists and all that. But that's not the point. The point is having an example to show for a bigger world, for 24 hours of programming. And that's always been my focus, you know. And so I have examples of global movements. I have examples of platinum selling artists. I have examples of breaking records at Hot Topics for merchandise and clothing. I have you know, examples of Warner Brothers and Def Jam and Capitol Records and so many other people investing millions of dollars into various projects, you know, that I was ahead of. So I needed those examples to go forward, right? And so now we're here, right? So the execution, the next stage is I have a book coming out, right? And the book is I don't know if I want to give out the title, but the book is about fixing the economy. That's what the book is about. But it's the first book that's going to be geared towards young people, geared towards, you know, teenagers, you know, people that are using social media now, that are in high school, that are graduating high school, you know, and it's an audio book, you know, and it has like, has music in it, and it's hip hop, and it's me, you know, because the thing that's important now is not that I'm going out and I'm raising money for this network. Like I'm like, okay, well, hey, I have this network, you know, here's 10% of my network, and give me $10 million, and that whole thing. That's not what this is. You know, this is a real long-term business model, right? So what I'm doing at this stage is I have a book coming out, and it basically outlines in detail how anyone can create a community and monetize that community and create a tangible asset, creating millions upon millions of jobs for Americans, right? And then on top of it, you know, just talk about ideas of world peace and people connecting with each other and seeing the value in themselves and seeing the value of their neighbors and respecting their neighbors and all these different other ideas. That's incorporated. But the key thing for right now is I have a book, okay? And what that book's going to allow me to do is going to allow me to go out, and I'm going to be speaking everywhere, schools, colleges, YMCAs, PTA meetings, wherever there's a group of people that are connected to young people. I'm going to be speaking there, and I'm going to explain this solution. And through this solution, I'm going to build a community, and people are going to connect to the idea, because the idea is truth. The idea is a real solution that I have real background, plausible proof to show, tangible proof to show that what I'm saying not only is a brilliant concept, but it's also something I can execute. So right now, I need support in making myself the biggest brand in America. It's important, okay? It's not about Jay-Z, it's not about Kanye, it's not about Kim Kardashian, it's about this guy in the video, because I need to be able to communicate this idea to the masses of America, because this is the thing. If I'm able to get this idea out all across America, what that does is it creates a concept around the world, and that concept is the only way you can compete with America in the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, and 24th century is if your communities and your societies are interconnected, and people are creative, and people are able to exchange ideas, and people are able to communicate ideas and be able to shift perspectives and do it through democracy. If you can't do that, you can't compete with America. It's not about military. It's not about weapons. It's about that we have unity, we have harmony, we have connection. And if the rest of the world is disenfranchised from their government, if they're disenfranchised from their neighbors, they can't compete with us. So we're talking about creating a real competitive advantage in America, and I need to be on every poster, on every street in America, communicating this idea, creating access for this idea. So the money that I need to raise right now is not even for the network. It's not about broadcasting. It's about putting my ideas, or these ideas that we agree upon are very important, in every house in America, on every playground in America. And I need capital to do that. So this is the next stage, my book.